Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Time for another sprint zone, and we're looking at the fine crew heading up County Road 5. Nice and orderly, as the route is a little bit smaller today, which I appreciate, and anyone who has tried to herd cats knows that a smaller group of them is a bit easier. Well, not really any easier, but it's manageable. So, 6:18, time to party as we head in. And I would like to take this time to thank Scott for his telemetry and his footage and all of the other stuff he's been giving me over the past couple of weeks. It's nice because when I am not there to see the finish, it's good to have something to talk about. Everyone looking pretty healthy here, relaxing, getting ready to throw down, and as the rules of engagement state, everyone must be around the corner until the party can officially start. So for some reason, I am at the rear today, and this is not really a good thing. I was thinking about, hey, maybe I'm going to do a big ride the next day, and I was considering doing the old Fall River Road up in Estes Park, and I didn't know how hard I wanted to go, so that was in my mind, but it probably shouldn't have been because that ride got canceled. Anyway, the crew is looking strong. Strong men abound, as Mr. Nelson has decided to join us. We got Mr. Mellinger, we got Byron, we got Mr. Sturgeon, to name a few of the big men. And I don't know, it's like I'm back here, and I know I'm back here, and it's just not a good place to be. Normally, I'm up by the front because it is better to ride above someone's station than to be at the back and get cracked off like a whip. And I can see why everybody wants to be up front, but not too close to the front. But in this case, I was hanging back a little too long. We see the big man there. There he is, Byron, looking strong there. Gives me the peace sign. Everything looks good. And it's not particularly easy right now. It is and it isn't. So we're looking at my 30-second power in the 150s. But it's time to move up a little bit. We don't want to get too far in arrears. Unless, of course, you are Byron, in which case you can sit anywhere you want. I pick a good wheel here, and it looks like Mr. Nelson. And sitting next to the tenacious Jamie, who is always in tow. Isla showing her face a little bit there, even though she is in the wind, and you can see a slight echelon beginning to form up by the front. It looks like we have a little bit of animation there, and I believe that might be Mr. Sturgeon going off the front here, trying to get the party started and looking back to see if anybody is going to follow. Sometimes we don't follow, as it is a sign of a lack of respect, knowing that the big men are here, and they will bring you back, and your effort is for naught, except if you are trying to get a good workout. Starting to get a little more organized, looking rearward, we got Curtis, and Isla is here, and we got Mark way back there, hanging out there in the bike lane, looking strong as the echelon begins to form. And it's at this point I begin to realize I am too far back. And most of the people up here are at least as strong as I am, but the positioning is really going to be important here, as the wind is coming off our right shoulder, and there's going to be an echelon that's going to force us into very close to the yellow line. Speed looks good, 27 miles an hour, and my 30-second power starting to creep up, as is my heart rate, 153, not near threshold yet, but it is getting there. Here we go. And this little corner here, not much of a grade, but sometimes the people up front just push it, and you can see there my wattage going up to 350 just to maintain contact here. And everyone begins to struggle a little bit. You see some of the Rio team riders, that looks like Tom and Jonathan, being forced to the back, sitting out there in the wind, and I am wagging the tail here behind Jamie, not quite in the echelon, guttered, as you would say, and this is not good. Ben goes over to the right, looks like maybe trying to start a second echelon. That's good. See Tom creeping up, see my lens is dirty. There goes Greg. Thank you for your service. That is too much for him. And he says, no mas. And here we go. Not the tightest echelon here, I think there's some people taking up more space than they need to be taking up to get some draft, but it's not about helping out your fellow man here in many instances. It's about getting your own slot. And here I am just totally forced out and am in the wind here. And you can see my 30-second power, 220 or so, and working hard. I'm not certain how long I can stay here, but I'm the last man in this one. And it is hard. I'm not really getting any shelter here. And you can see my power, 400 watts right here, 389, as I am basically pushed off of the wheel. Looks like Mr. Nelson doing the damage here, and lots of people flirting with the yellow line. It could be that, yes, there may have been a slight violation, but we won't call it because it wasn't very long. And I have to say adios. We switch to the Scott cam. Thank you very much, Scott. And we can see what is happening up front. Scott got a little coast in there, and so his wattage was like less than mine way back there. He's looking good. 30-second power, only 145. And that is what good positioning can do for you. Looks like Ben up there, looking strong on the wheel of Byron, and Scott unable to hold there. And it looks like Mr. Peterson, a long-time rider from a long ago, has decided to make his presence known, as he is one to fight for this one. And it is a strong man. It is heads of state up here, pushing good wattage. And you see Scott's 30-second power, 390. As we know, that was a difficult bridge to maintain contact there. And speaking of difficulty, it looks like that was perhaps a little too much. And you see that the true heads of state there. Looks like Mr. Mellinger, Mr. Nelson, Byron, and Mr. Peterson. Yeah, all men that would have no problem with any ride in pretty much the state, saying goodbye. And you know when Scott is dispatched that it is tough. And you can see he's keeping up an honest wattage, but pretty much it is game over. And let's just fast forward a little bit here because we're not waste people's time. And now the second posse has caught up. So it looks like Jamie, Mr. Sturgeon, and they're not too far back from the heads of state. But of course, it looks closer than it actually is due to that hill. Scott looking strong there. 30-second power, only 150. So basically, it's pretty much game over here. But he's getting a good workout instead of just sitting back there. And as you can see in the upper right, there I am, pretty much in no man's land. And as we crest the top of this hill, yeah, you can see where that hill presents a falseness that you perhaps have a chance to catch the heads of state. But no, that was not going to happen. Scott's 30-second power looking good now. He's up at the front, 240 watts. I'm doing okay back there by myself, just kind of strolling along here, thinking that I was lucky that my suffering was cut short, because I would be back here suffering again with everybody else, and nobody needs to see that. So this looks a pretty short one today. We'll just maybe fast forward here and see what we got here. And there we go. People are ramming and a thumping. They've caught up for the final second place or fifth place prize here. Seeing who's going to get this one. Josh looking strong up there, nice smooth on that rally bike. Scott has a nice position here, but Scott's 30-second power, 240, so it is game on here. And then Scott makes his move. There we go, 650 watts there for a second, maybe 640. I may have misspoke, and I don't think many in this posse are going to be able to match that. 30-second power, yes, over 400 as the hill is to be crested. It'd be nice to have a rear camera here to see how people were being dispatched, but what can we say? People are being dispatched, and this should be an easy one for Scott to take on this one. There we go. Yeah, that just shows the importance of positioning, and when the real supers show up, things get difficult. We can pretend as much as we want, but we don't belong in the front group. That was good, everybody. That was good. As you can see, my camera way up there in the upper right, like, it's pretty much no man's land. There should be some music playing, ding, 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 because it's pretty much boring. Anyway, A good time was had by all. Until next time, peace out.